Welcome to the Essence of Homeschooling podcast, brought to you by the umbrella school, Start Academy. We empower and equip you to cultivate the authentic homeschool lifestyle where freedom and relationships rule.
Okay, y'all. How about science? What kind of concepts are we trying to help them with in middle school when it comes to science? I think a big thing here is the scientific theory, but also understanding that the role of science is always about observation and interpretation, and then observation again. So there are some set things. We know that through biology and anatomy, but there's still the whole field of science is a continual area of study. And so good things are just a general science or a physical science to help with that. But I always think anatomy all throughout because, again, they live in their body. They're going to need to know their body. They're going to need to know what changes are happening and why. And so it's very important.
Good reminder. Yeah, general science and anatomy and that. And if you have a kiddo who is struggling again with this area, you can feel free to branch out and do zoology or astronomy and get creative with that. And that's perfectly fine.
Middle school science, you are developing your analytical thinking, you're learning the scientific practices, you're reviewing those scientific concepts that maybe they learned in elementary school, and now they can use them to explain scientific processes and use things like lab reports and presentations to communicate their scientific findings. So just learning the language of science and the foundation of science before they get into high school.
And again, this is the area of directed learning. Science is a big choice option in that. Are they curious about clouds and meteorology? Do they want to be a pilot one day? Maybe they're going to need some of those meteorology and weather systems. Do they just want a general understanding of the world? That's general science and physical science. So go with the delight of your child with what they want to learn.
Yes.
And I think, I know this is jumping into curriculum, but I remember the Janice Van Cleve books, and she has one for physics and chemistry, and that's so hands-on, and they're great for middle school because they're more hands-on and just exploring how do these work.
What are the titles of those?
Physics for Every Kid.
Oh, that's great.
Other popular curriculums are like Apologia is a big one because it's just it has so much information. It covers all the sciences.
I believe their general science even has an audio version, and others may as well. One thing to keep in mind for their physical science, and I'm sure other publishers, for physical science, your kids are going to need to have at least some pre-algebra under their belt to really feel confident going into physical science strongly. So just a little heads up on that. But general science is also a really good option there. Another one I saw recently within the last couple of years is just simply called Middle School Chemistry. And it's put out by ACS, which is the American Chemical Society. So it is secular. There are free online lessons, videos, experiments, activities, demonstrations, and it's really pretty well done. It's definitely worth taking a look. It's called Middle School Chemistry. Simple title.
Another popular option is Master Books, and they have their God's Design series. God's Design for Chemistry, God's Design for Ecology. It's a good basic foundation for physical science. And another option is Navarre Science. It's newer, I would say, in the last maybe 6 years, but it's also another popular homeschool option.
And
I
then
think
gather round unit studies also. They have, because they're unit studies, they have quite a list that you can pick and choose from. And so just go in, take a look at them. They give quite a few free samples so you can get a good feel for what they do, but they're great for large families and you can really go as in depth as you like or not, but it's a nice program.
And just for fun, Lego education. Lego has ways to play with them for pulleys and levers and things like that. And it's at education.lego.com.
That's fun.
Who doesn't love Legos, right?
Great. I want to build their Christmas set.
My kids did build little Lego gift boxes one time.
That's so fun.
Are you ready to take the leap into homeschooling but don't quite know what to do and where to start? Whether you're just starting to consider it or you've already made the decision, we've got the perfect guide to help you along the way. Introducing the Ultimate Quick Start Guide to Homeschooling. It's your compass offering concise directions that make getting started a breeze. Dive in and discover everything you need to know, from legal requirements to curriculum tips, all in one place. Because at Start Academy, we believe that every parent has the power to homeschool with confidence. Go to today's show notes to get your hands on this comprehensive quick guide and start your homeschooling journey today. Hey, you've got this.
Okay, for the other big concept of school at this level is our social studies, which is like civics and government, US history, world history, but also geography. It's understanding how people impact the world around them, really.
You can integrate geography, of course, with US history, world history, or country studies, or it can just be a standalone. That's fine. Typically in middle school, you've got at least a year of US history and at least a year of world history, but you certainly have flexibility, especially as a homeschooler.
And this is one of those subjects that can be easily integrated into your language arts, which, of course, here we go again. Beautiful Feet is one of the best for integrating that, right? Because it helps you use literature instead of a textbook to study. And it's a great form to bring it all together.
Popular textbook based off is not us. They have a couple different curriculum that covers US history and world history both.
Yeah, a lot of reading with Knotgrass, but it's quality, very quality reading. And they integrate the English piece and Bible as well.
The Good and the Beautiful is also pretty common at this time as well.
Yes. And Gather Around again. And then there's a book called Our Constitution Rocks. And it was actually written, I believe, by a homeschooler. And it says it breaks down the Constitution article by article into manageable sections in a way that everyone can read and understand, both the student and the parent together. So it has a lot of color, a lot of simplified explanations that are still very thorough. So it's a nice foundational book to have on hand.
And again, the fun part with this particular subject is you have so much wiggle room. You can use living books, the real books. You can use YouTube videos, documentaries, and projects to flesh out the whole topic that you're studying.
The Mystery of History is another popular one.
That's right.
And also Simply Charlotte Mason History and Veritas Press. That is more of a classical based option. And for geography and drawing, there is Exploring the World Through Cartography, which is a good way to introduce not only map drawing and cartography, but also history and language, cultures, a lot of other unique ideas.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think if your family has a specific interest in a specific country, let's say you're sponsoring a child somewhere, or you have family members who are missionaries somewhere, or just simply live somewhere, or your heritage is from some other country, you can do country studies and just really dive into that and dig deep. What is the history? What is the culture? What are all the fun things, the food, the games? And that can certainly be a fun middle school way to do social studies, because again, how do the people affect the country and the countries around them and therefore the world? It's all joined together.
And you can continue to use a timeline as well when you're doing that. And you can show them what is happening around the world at the same time period. Because sometimes we get so focused on what happened in our own country or in the one area that we're studying, but using a timeline can show you the rest of the world at the same time.
Yeah. Love
So that-
timelines.
And the other basic things you still want to maintain educating your child in are going to be their physical health. So, activities, sports, things like that, artistic expression through music, various art mediums and theater, even life skills, and Bible and character development. What other things did you guys enjoy during middle school, especially as they're getting older and able to do some more things?
We also did some volunteer work. It's a good age to get that under your belt because a lot of places won't officially hire a middle schooler. And you have to be bare minimum like 14 or something, depends on what state you're in. Sometimes 15, sometimes 16. But if your kiddo gets some good volunteer work in, they're working with other people, learning how to work with the public, or just learning how to be a helper and have a good
Mhm.
attitude about all of that. Do for others. That looks good on their 14-year-old resume. They're going to go into their first employer and say, "This is my first job, but here's what I've been doing with my time. I've been helping out at the food bank, or I've been raking lawns for the elderly people in my neighborhood, whatever it might be. I've been working at my church." So we included that as much as we could.
We continued to go to co-op most years during middle school. Every year was different, and I remember at co-op they would offer jobs to the middle schoolers and the high schoolers too. But my son having a job at co-op was so important to him, and it gave him something to look forward to and a skill that he was learning. And it was one of the first times he wasn't reporting to me per se. He had a
Mm.
boss at his co-op job. And of course, I was still at co-op and it was still a safe environment, but it was a really good, as we were talking about before, that push and pull of getting a skill, exercising it, and yet coming back to mom, the safe landing spot. That was a
Mhm.
great thing during middle school years at our co-op.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And knowing that they're doing something to help people and they're important, they're needed, they're wanted and appreciated, I think is important for them as individuals too.
Definitely. He really felt great knowing that he had a job. And if he didn't show up, that job didn't get done. And so it gave him a sense of uniqueness and purpose at the co-op. And in addition, I told him, you're earning money. You're helping to pay for your tuition at co-op. So this is a really great thing.
Good. Internships are good too if you can find them. You can find someone to teach your child a skill. They can work alongside of them, whether it's the trades or whatever. It's another option. And sometimes kids like to start their own businesses. I have a niece who crochets and sells these darling little crocheted creations. Other kids make cookies. I've seen that happen. Pet sitting or pet walking are other options. So starting their own little personal businesses builds that
Babysitting,
responsibility. Pardon?
babysitting too.
Yes. And taking those classes, right? The CPR, the babysitting classes, and that's okay, boys and girls. All good.
It goes back to what we were saying in our first podcast episode on the middle school years is you're helping them grow in independence and you're helping them grow in responsibility. So these opportunities to make a little money on the side with the co-op job, to do some volunteer work, to make some of these choices and realize that their life has value and impact and that they can grow in that area of responsibility, showing up to work every week that they're required to be there and their independence in it. And it's growing their confidence. And that's super important heading into the high school years.
But remember that your middle school kid is still a kid.
Yeah.
They still need to play. They still need to have fun. They still need to go to the park, hang out with their siblings, and just be silly.
Yeah.
They're still a kid.
Keep up the field trips, the read alouds, and the fun activities that you've always been doing that has made your family unique. This is the age where they may roll their eyes at you, but don't give it up because it's fascinating what they come back and tell you as adults of how important those times were and how they appreciated that you still pulled them back in.
And as we always say, at the essence of homeschooling, focus on relationship. That is the most important skill that you're building in the middle school years.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and found it insightful. Be sure to check out today's show notes for all applicable links and additional resources. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your support helps us continue to bring you great content. Until next time, happy homeschooling.